Please call the roll.
Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Meister,
Here.
Commissioner Renner.
Here. Thank you very much. And at this point, do we have any public comment, Madam Clerk?
We do not.
All right, we're going to move right along to consideration of minutes from last meeting, our last exciting episode, which was March 9th, 2021. Are there any corrections, Commissioner Meister, since you're the only other one here? Any corrections, concerns?
No questions or concerns. I motion to approve the minutes from last time.
Okay, so it's up to me then to second it. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. The minutes will stand as presented. We next have a public hearing on Cracker Barrel, and that is at 506 Brock Drive, that are requesting a restaurant beer and wine only license package and Sunday sales. And at this point, Ms. Levesque, are you here on their behalf?
Yes, Commissioner, I am.
Okay,
I
thank
believe
you.
the district manager may also be joining us, Brian Wright, but I don't see him just yet. So just me for now.
Okay, and can you just describe this? Because
Can we have the witness?
Oh,
sworn,
I'm
please?
sorry. That's right. I apologize. Thank you. At this point in my last liquor commission after 8 years, you'd think I'd know this. Thank you, George. Madam Clerk, would you swear in Ms. Levesque?
Absolutely. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Levesque, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. There was something odd with my audio here for a second. I wonder if you could just outline what the nature of this request is. I'm assuming there's a slight change in the business model and, moving forward, and what the intention is.
Yes, Commissioner. So as you noted, Cracker Barrel has applied for a restaurant beer and wine only license. There's been a slight change to the application. They're no longer seeking package sales. So this would only be an on-premise application with the request for the Sunday supplemental license. They have been operating within Bloomington for some time, just solely as a restaurant. And they've made the decision recently to apply for liquor licenses for all of their facilities throughout Illinois, including the Bloomington location.
Okay.
And that has been requested by their consumers, by their patrons, and they do want to provide as comprehensive a service to the community as possible, which would include, in their view, the sale of beer and wine. Their proposed menu has approximately 6 options for each alcohol type, 6 beers, 6 wines, and I believe 2 mimosas, which would be made using the sparkling wine that would be on offer on the menu. And they anticipate, or they hope rather, that the alcohol sales would be approximately 5% of their gross receipts, which is actually a very ambitious estimate for them, Commissioner. They run about 3% nationwide in terms of alcohol sales. And so it is going to be a very modest amount of alcohol that would likely be sold at this particular location. But they do intend, obviously, to comply with all local requirements, including the Bassett requirement. The district manager, while he's not yet Bassett certified, because they're just rolling out the alcohol licenses for Illinois locations, he is going to be Bassett certified very soon. And they do, in addition to the Bassett certification, have an online training system, which is in the process of being updated so that their employees can also be trained on local rules and regulations as it relates to alcohol sales.
Okay, you've actually preempted most of my standard questions here. I know that the restaurant's been there at least 27, 28 years. And
Yes,
so this
sir.
is just a change. And obviously things we would ask, things like Bassett training, business model, percentage of alcohol sales. One last question, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Meister, see what question she might have, is there is no intention, is there, to have any video poker machines or make an application for video poker machines?
No, sir, not to my knowledge. It's not even something that was on the periphery. Only
Okay.
the package sales, which are now, again, not in consideration.
Okay. I mean, knowing what I know about the Cracker Barrel, et cetera, I wouldn't have thought so, but I do need to ask that question. Commissioner Meister, questions?
She pretty much answered all my questions about, making sure that the servers are Bassett trained, and you had already addressed that. And then obviously you mentioned mimosas, so I assumed that alcohol would be served pretty much as soon as you're open. Is that correct?
Yes, but it would always be again with the service of a meal. So you're not going to come in at 7 a.m. and just order some mimosas. It's not the clientele that Cracker Barrel typically attracts. But yes, it would be offered at all times that food was offered.
Okay.
Mr. Boyle, any questions? Further questions?
Yes. One is, what's your position with the establishment? I didn't hear your position with Cracker Barrel.
Yes, sir. I am their attorney. I represent them. I'm with the law firm Webster Law Partners in Chicago.
Okay. Is it contemplated that the premises where alcohol is served would include the porch or the front part?
No, sir. There was some consideration at one time, which may be the reason for your inquiry, to potentially apply for an outdoor patio of sorts, but that is, again, no longer a consideration. It would only be sales inside the premises as it exists currently, so no extension to the outside areas at all.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve? Again, noting that all license creations, amendments, et cetera, are conditioned on compliance with building health and safety codes. Is there a motion to positively recommend this to the City Council?
I motion to approve and send this positively to City Council.
I'll go ahead and second that. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. And then just, do we have any idea, Amanda, will this come up at the next council meeting or will this not be till May?
This would appear the first meeting in May, which is May 10th.
This will appear on May 10th, Ms. Lebec. Is that what you had anticipated?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And it was nice talking to you.
You as well. Thank you all.
We're going to move on to our next item, number 6, which is a hearing and first appearance on a complaint with respect to Windjammer. And this is presented by the legal department. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Boyle. George, you want to give us an update on this?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This involved a complaint and citation regarding failure to comply with the then in-place executive orders that prohibited indoor on-premise consumption. Is a complaint brought against Old English Ltd, operating as Windjammer. The establishment did admit to the violation, which occurred on January 12th of this year, and they agreed to payment of a fine of $400, which they have paid. This is, to my knowledge, the last of our enforcement actions based on the executive orders that were in effect in January.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So this is just for our notification. There's nothing that we need to act on. Is that correct, Mr. Boyle?
No further action on this case. We have a written and signed order.
Great. Any questions, Commissioner Meister?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Boyle. We're going to move on to number 7, which is a continued sanctions hearing, and this is with respect to drifters at 612 North Main Street. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Boyle for updates and where are we on this and what do we need to do? And I understand we have Mr. Marvel online too, in case that's
yes,
necessary.
I understand. I think Mr. Marvel is online. At the last hearing, the licensee was ordered to pay a fine of $2,500 and to pay all delinquent taxes current by today's date.
Has that happened, Mr. Boyle? Oh, it has not?
No, it hasn't.
Has not.
In fact, there was an incentive given where if the taxes were paid within 7 days, the fine would be reduced to $1,000 instead of $2,500. The taxes have not been paid. We have been in contact with the licensee, however, and the licensee's attorney. There is a settlement or kind of a modified order, if you will, that the legal department would support.
Can you outline that for us, please?
Sure. It has a few components to it. The
And it was,
licensee is
if I could
applied.
just clarify, George, this is something that that you have been in contact with Mr. Marvel as their representative, and they're in agreement with as well?
Let me say this. They wanted to work out an agreement. I think the broad outlines were agreed to prior to the hearing this afternoon.
Okay.
I don't know if all the specifics are, if Mr. Marvel's able to agree to it.
Okay.
I know part of the component was a particular payment, which was to be made by the end of the week.
Okay.
There was a representation it was going to be made this afternoon. So far, it has not been.
Okay. Wait, if you go ahead, and I just wanted to clarify that, but go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you.
I don't want to put words in their mouth. I will tell you what we would support in terms of a modified order, and then they can, Mr. Marvel perhaps can say what his client's position is on this.
Okay, go ahead.
The
Mr.
first
Boyle.
is that the licensee is to pay $2,500 fine by the end of the month, so on or before April 30th.
Mm-hmm.
That the licensee is to pay $1,500 of that fine by the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, the licensee is to pay, I want to pause briefly and say that the licensee has applied for a renewal of its license. There still needs to be a renewal payment made and a 10% penalty. That also needs to be paid by April 30th, along with some additional documents that were missing from the application. One of them, for example, insurance and so on. So if all documents are provided, if the renewal amount is paid with a late fee, and if the fine is all paid by April 30th, we will process the renewal and we'll move on to the next stage that we would suggest be made part of the order. And that is that the remaining delinquent taxes, that all delinquent taxes be paid in 2 monthly installments. The first half paid on or before May 31, the second to be paid on or before June 30. During this time, the licensee will remain current on all taxes. Failure to make the installment payments or remain current will result in further sanctions. If all taxes are not paid by July 1st, 2021, the license would be revoked, and this matter would be continued to May 11th for monitoring and for further information. And potentially further sanctions if these steps to be taken by April 30th are not complied with.
Okay. Commissioner Meister, any questions of Mr. Boyle? Do you understand what he's saying?
I do. And I don't have any questions, George.
Okay. Now, if we could go ahead and swear Mr. Marvel in, I just want to ask him whether or not his client would agree to this, and then we can make a determination if not. Would you swear Mr. Marvel in, please, Madam Clerk?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear firm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marvel, what's your client's position on staff's recommendation?
Yeah, my client is in agreement with the recommendation to move forward, and I do believe that we're making a payment. I think he's trying to make a payment by money order by today. I think that's accurate. I just was on the phone with him, and he's heading down to the office or the city to make a $1,500 payment is required by the end of the week. The remaining portions of the order are acceptable to my client, and we appreciate the city's willingness to work with us, despite I feel that it's been a trying time for my clients, honestly, and all of the bar owners and restaurant owners. It's been very difficult. So in that regard, I think that they've had a lot of focus on trying to deal with back taxes and some of the other items that they were addressing. And ultimately the renewal issue kind of snuck up on them, and they got it in and they want to move forward. And this solution and this opportunity to to pay these taxes as structured by George, we'll give them that opportunity.
Okay.
So in that regard, we would agree.
Commissioner Meister, any questions of Mr. Marvel?
No questions for Mr. Marvel.
Okay, anything else, George? It sounds like we have an agreement here and we should move forward on this.
Well, we have an agreement, and if that's acceptable to the commission, I'll reduce that agreement to writing. And Mr. Marvel, if he would sign off by the end of the week. We'd like you then to sign off at it as commissioner, and that will make it have the force of an order.
Okay.
And we'd proceed accordingly.
Okay, well, I think we've got it. We just need to have a motion to approve this as presented.
I motion to approve this as presented.
I second. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Rennick.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks again. I won't be seeing you in this capacity again, Mr. Marvel, but I'll see you. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I'll see you around. It's been a pleasure, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rich. Okay, at this point, we move on to the next item, number 8, and this is continued hearing on a complaint and citation at Mickey's Kitchen, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Boyle for an update.
Thank you, Mayor. There were 3 aspects to this complaint. One has to do with a failure to pay taxes. The second had to do with an allegations relating to a non-licensed business selling alcohol at the establishment, and the third had to do with a request to produce documents. We've continued it a few times because of the nature of the complaints, and also because of some illness that was involved. So with regard to that, my understanding is that we have an agreement that we expect to reduce to writing and to bring to the commission at its next meeting. There's been an exchange of information, and I think that we're going to be able to present something that will be an order that's acceptable to the commission.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner Meister?
No questions.
So you need a motion for us to hold this over till next month's Liquor Commission meeting, is that correct?
Yes,
Mr.
just
Boyle?
to continue it to May 11th,
Is,
4 p.m.
would you be up for making that motion?
I motion to continue this to May 11th.
I second. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Rennick.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, George. Thank you, Commissioner Meister. This is my last meeting with you too, but I appreciate all your help.
With you.
Thanks. Me too. Thanks.
Yeah,
And same thing with,
working with you, Mayor.
thanks. And Amanda, although I'll probably come in and throw tomatoes at the next Liquor Commission. So no, I'm kidding, of course. Anyway, thank you all very much.
There'll be Zoom tomatoes.
They'll be Zoom tomatoes. That's true. Well, thank you.